Hey everyone, my name is Misty Patel and I'm the 2025 Ventlit visiting professor at the School of Architecture at Georgia Tech. A lot of my work revolves around making, leaning on digital and analog techniques, and playing with material systems and acoustics.
I'm Patrick Danahy, and I'm an assistant professor in the School of Architecture here at Georgia Tech. My research focuses on AI and robotics as it applies to cultural ways of making and thinking about materials and their impact on fabrication systems.
As you can tell, today we're working together to make a gingerbread house, and we're gonna try and explore some of the industry standard gingerbread components we've been given and conspire it together.
Like many gingerbread houses, this is going to be made with prefabricated elements. When we're working with prefabricated elements, we first want to understand what the role of each individual piece actually is. We also have a wide range of materials to work with, so we have to understand some of those material properties as they apply to our building system. I'm going to take some of this royal icing here, a kind of famous material in the making of gingerbread houses, and maybe establish a kind of plan outline. What do you think, Ms.
Yeah, I
Reed?
think that's a great idea. Almost thinking of it as an analog 3D printer of sorts, right?
Exactly. Not all automation has to be done by robots. Sometimes it's a procedural logic that we just need to follow.
Some of the pieces we're putting together are not naturally aligned. Did this come with a box?
Yeah, it did. And actually the back of the box does have instructions that we're able to follow. But I think it's important to not just follow these instructions always, or at least allow for the kind of individual expression when you're thinking about kind of repurposing these elements. Not only is it a way of kind of bringing the individual personalities of people who might experience this, but it's also a way for the kind of designer's self-expression to work its way in to each of the steps in this process. So some of these I think we have followed, but others you can see where we're starting to reinterpret and deviate.
I think a part of making is so therapeutic in nature, but I think with how architecture has evolved in the past few decades, now digital tools actually they almost become like co-creators of architecture almost, and that makes me wonder if some of these limitations of some of the pieces falling apart could be harnessed more appropriately with a 3D printer. Oh my God.
Yeah, I think there's a combination of precision that you're able to get with automated systems. Obviously, the kind of imprecision of the hand at the moment and the limitations of our materials are giving quite a bit of feedback where our gingerbread house seems to be falling apart quite a bit. So that's where maybe we would go to kind of high precision ways of thinking about making to help us kind of augment that in the way that we think about building this gingerbread house. These are 3D printed gingerbread structures that were three-dimensional, but you can see it's quite flat right now. That's because during baking, the viscosity increased and it actually kind of slumped down and ended up melting the structure. So more study is needed on the material properties. Maybe it requires a kind of lower temperature, longer term bake. But then you can see another example here of a 3D printed structure pre-bake. So quite a bit of geometric features that you can get, high precision as a part of this, and that might help us to make a kind of more structural output, as well as something that can relate to an individual design expression. For those who don't have a 3D printer to print your gingerbread, what you want to do is come into it with a plan. You can see that we have not come into this design with a fully thought out plan, so we've had to adapt and kind of adjust as we're working. We also have a kind of mix of different media going on, but it's important to start by developing a kind of step-by-step plan, whether that's through drawing or maybe it's just through kind of dialogue. Whatever the kind of medium is, it's important to think through that design process in the initial stages.
We're gonna strategically put some gummies so that we know what the weak points are, and I think we need a few spots that also become a part of the aesthetic itself. So the function of it is also challenged in some ways. The icing is actually helping us hold it together in place temporarily, which gives us enough time to go in with the gummies and melt them in place so that it really consolidates itself well. Yeah, how about we heat it up?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. If we apply some heat to some of these candies, then we should be able to get the material to drip across the facade. For all of the future architects watching, if you're going to use a heat gun, please make sure that your parents are in the room to help you with it. It's a great tool, but we do have to be careful with safety when we're thinking about using this type of equipment. Oh man, this stuff is gummy.
In some ways, we're both thinking out loud, so it's really helping us see what needs to be fixed, and we're almost becoming intuitive. I almost can foresee what Patrick's gonna do next. I could channel my energy towards the other side. So it's very, very collaborative for sure.
Yeah, I feel like if we were trying to both follow the same set of instructions, we wouldn't maybe be able to laugh with each other quite as much and have fun enjoying kind of inventing the process. Because we'd just be following the process that was given to us.
Design is a communal process. I see hints of Frank Lloyd Wright because it seems to be growing out of sight in some ways. And then on this side, feels like a bit of a Frank Gehry moment right there with some of the curved pieces that in some ways really resemble the Walt Disney Concert Hall.
Yeah, I think definitely I see deconstructivist where you have this kind of registration of individual elements, but then you get this kind of rupture at the corner here where the seam actually allows you to read those elements as individual versus seeing them as a part only of supporting the whole composition or the entire kind of building.
Oh,
Yeah, I'd agree.
Should we high five with this?